Previously on The Devil on G-string.
Zai Gonzo would approve of the path I took. After violating Shiratori, the twisted abyss I once called my heart only grew deeper and darker. She had turned out to be a completely worthless woman. I never once treated her well. So, what exactly happened? Details are unimportant. One need only imagine the fate of a flower completely deprived of life-giving water. She had been no more than a frail, flawed flower from the very beginning. It only took her 6 months to wither away completely. You shouldn't have encouraged Shiratori. That's the only reason things turned out the way they did. If you just never transferred to her school, she would have lived a peaceful life. If you feel like you're even the slightest bit at fault, then stand behind me and enjoy the show. Watch as the object of your sister's fleeting love sprints down the path to hell. Tokita Yuki had held an interest in criminal negotiations from a young age. Yuki's mother had been a famous artist. At the request of community service organizations and certain members of organized crime rings, she had often visited prisons as a special guest. The young Yuki, who always waited patiently for her mother outside those tall cement walls, began to hold an interest in the people forced to live on the other side. When she finally built up the courage to ask her mother about the prisoners there, Yuki's heart raced in excitement. Adults, the very people who say we shouldn't do bad things, were doing bad things. She wanted to know how the minds of these criminals worked. Hashimoto declares his sole objective with an air of composure. Even Tokita was taken aback.
255万
What the hell are you drawing? The paper had nothing but a cartoonish portrait on it.
ルップですけど
Hey!
3世ですよ3世
I don't give a shit if he's the 3rd or the 13th. What the fuck are you doing, Asami?
すみません危機的状況に陥ると素数を数えながらルップを書きたくなるんです
I don't even know what to say anymore.
本当は犯人の要求する人間を連れてきてはいけないものなのよ犯人の本当の目的が例えば理事長を殺害することだったらどうするの
Well, should be a surefire way to get to him by doing something like this.
それでも理事長に来てもらうのはね責任を取ってもらいたいからよ
I had no room to criticize Tokita.
ごめんなさいよ私だって人間だし思うところはあるのそう長い緊張状態を共にすることで連帯感が生まれるの
Yeah. So in this case, Hashimoto says Shiratori is thirsty. If we give him a drink in a paper cup.
そうよ橋本くんが水張り飲み物をついであげなくてはならないでしょそれが犯人と人質の連帯感情を高めるの
I see. Of course, there's a chance that Hashimoto will just ignore Shiratori and drink it himself. But as long as the cup is sitting there, he'll be forced to be reminded of her. Tokita nodded.
ストックホルミングは多くの場合人質交渉を助けてくれるわ犯人が人質を大切に思えばそれだけ解放の時間も早まるとりあえず分かりましたダッシュで行きます
And so it continues.
Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play The Devil on G-string. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to get this crisis situation finally resolved. And give Devilman another bloody nose. Well, then again, we didn't really do that the last few times now, did we? Whatever, maybe this time we'll finally give him a bloody nose. Fingers crossed.
ただいま。なんか進展あった？
Director just got here a minute ago. About time. He wore flashy clothes, but gave off the aura of your average unreliable middle-aged buffoon. Yep, definitely a businessman. Tokita explained the situation to him as sweat dripped from his slicked-back hair onto his forehead and down his face. Acquaintances of mine. We met on New Year's. And yes, these people are from my father's organization. The director cradled his head and let out a long sigh. Tokita put on a discouraged look before continuing.
要求は合計して555万です。
そんな大金。
It's a lot of fives. Neither I nor Tokita missed a sly glimmer in his eye.
どうやら用意できるようですね。
しかし、こんな時間だ。銀行だって閉まってる。
The banks are definitely closed, but no idiot would go straight to the bank from an illegal deal. Where's the money?
以前水葉を訪ねてご自宅にお伺いした時、金庫があるのを確認しましたが、問題は着服した250万に上乗せされた300万ですが、それも大丈夫でしょうか？
In the worst case, I could loan it to him.
わかった。すまなかった。まさかこんな大事になるなんて。
答えになってません。全額今用意できるんですか？
Yuki showed no mercy.
ああ、できるとも。たったの500だろ。
He acts tough with his just 5 mil, but he doesn't seem to comprehend all that he's lost.
ありがとうございます。それでは犯人に連絡しますので。
After a few rings, Hashimo's cheerful voice beams from the telephone.
理事長のご到着か。
ええ、待望のね。お金も用意できるって。
そうかそうか。銀行が閉まってるだのと見えついたことを言われたら、娘を傷物にしてやるところだった。
安心して。もうあなたの望みは叶ったも同然よ。
その前に娘は水葉は無事なんだろうな。
The director suddenly butted in.
さっき声を聞かせてやったんだがな。もう一度聞きたいか。今度は悲鳴を上げさせてやってもいい。
やめて。あなたの目的はお金でしょ。水葉を傷つけたって何の意味もないはずよ。
冗談だよ時田。そのくたびれたおっさんを黙らすときな。
Tokita gave the director a short glance. He trembled and kept quiet.
さて、金の準備だが。
そうね。今から自宅に現金を取りに帰るから、往復で2時間見てもらえれば間違いないわ。
理事長の妻を使って金を届けさせろ。そうすれば1時間で来れるだろ。
それが可能かどうか聞いてみてもいい？
そうだな。ついでに飲み物も持ってこ
い。いいわ。その代わりと言ってはなんだけれど、のりこ先生を解放してもらえる？
ジュースと人の命じゃ割に合わないが、まあいいだろう。もともとのりこ先生は無関係だからな。
じゃあ今から栄一くんに持って行ってもらうわ。
Eiji's face was shot with anxiety. Now's your chance to shine, little man. You can do it. I believe in you.
お前が持ってこい、時田。
Aw, never mind. I guess you'll have an opportunity to play the hero later, little man.
私が
俺はお前が気に入った。なぜだかわかるか？
私だって理事長を快く思っていないからでしょ。
Hashimoto laughed and grunted in the affirmative.
つまり俺たちは仲間ってことさ。かわいい坊やだ。
The enemy of my enemy isn't necessarily your friend. At that moment, Usami's pen, which had been taking notes so furiously, inexplicably stopped.
ご指名ありがとう。
One spoken line for 2 sentences. Come on, man. Come on. Tokita was completely calm.
今から飲み物を持っていくわ。
Tokita disappeared into the darkness of the school building, holding a plastic bottle in one hand.
つうか、俺未だに実感湧かないんだけど。
I know what you mean.
マジのりこ先生解放してくれんのかね。
Hopefully. Though if you ask me, it seems like the negotiation's gone pretty well so far. What do you think, Usami?
そうですね。さすがユキです。正直自分なんて何の役にも立ってません。
Yeah, neither have I. She said negotiations should be done as a team, but Tokita is doing all the work.
いや、ほんと、ユキは頼りになります。自分の唯一の友達ですから。
She's a little strange, too. Is that why you two get along so well?
一度家に泊めてもらいましてね。それ以来、主従の関係となりました。
Sounds scandalous.
朝は起こしてあげて、昼は胸を揉まれ、夜は肩を揉まされました。
You did well to stay friends for so long.
なぜか頭が上がらないんですよ。さすがにとさかに来たぜって思っても、相対して喋ってると、まあいっかってなるんです。
She's just really good at fondling you, be honest. Well, some people just have that effect on others. Or Tokia's just really good with her hands.
しかし、私がお金に困ると、いつもラーメンをおごってくれました。誕生日にはペンギンのぬいぐるみももらいましたし、いやはや、懐かしい遠い日の記憶です。
Don't talk like she's dead.
私はユキの誕生日に世界の拷問という本をプレゼントしました。
Jesus Christ! No, 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 dear God, don't give someone... Excuse me? Don't give something like that to a woman like her.
すごい喜んでましたね。いやはや懐かしいアリシヒの追憶です。
Wait a fucking minute. She used... Don't tell me she used those torture methods on you. I'm really questioning your relationship now. Usami looked up at the school building with distant eyes. The director called out to me in a reserved voice. How's it going? Will you be able to get the money here?
ああ、妻が今からタクシーを拾ってくるそうだ。
He hung his head and continued.
これで全部丸く収まるのかね?
No, but we are making progress. At the moment, it doesn't look like this affair will end up going public. If that's what you're asking.
だといいんだがね。
He let out a heavy sigh.
まさか娘がこんな目に遭うなんて。こんなことなら。
I could easily predict the rest of his sentence. I would have just given myself up. The director covered his exhausted face with his sweaty palms. Did my own father lament like this while thinking about his son? This is bad. I'm getting dizzy. Try not to think about anything. An unsightly father who has finally felt the twinge of a growing conscience stands before me. That's all there is to it.
京介、どうした？
Hmm?
お前ってたまにすげえ目つきになるよな。ですよね。
What?
なんか悩みあるなら人生経験豊富な俺に相談しろよ。
Number 1, lots of dialogue for a very short spoken line. And number 2, yeah, I'm sure you got lots of life experience at being an absolute failure. So if I need to consult anybody on how to epically screw something up, don't worry, H.E. I'll give you a call. Not you too, Sami.
いえ、自分も何かお役に立てるのであればと。
Help out, huh?
なんです？
Nothing. Anyway, looks like Tokita is back.
本当だ。のりこ先生もいる。
Tokita walks across the schoolyard. Miss Noriko supported on her shoulders.
ただいま。
ユキ、何もされなかったか？
ええ、意外と紳士よ、彼は。
先生、怪我はない？
Miss Noriko collapsed on the spot. She was probably too scared to even stand.
ごめんなさい。大体の事情は時田さんから聞いたわ。
中の様子はどうです？
残念ながら全くわからなかったそうよ。真っ暗な役員室に閉じ込められて恐怖に震えていたみたい。
隣の理科準備室からたまに橋本くんの怒鳴り声が聞こえてね。とても現実とは思えないわ。
大丈夫だよ、僕がついてるよ。
Aichi suddenly took her hand in his. Tokita, what were things like in the lab storage room?
ええ、廊下の窓から覗いたのだけれど、水葉は後ろ手に手錠をかけられていたわ。橋本くんはナイフを片手に飲み物を廊下に置いていくよう指示してきた。私はそれに従って飲み物を残すと、隣の部屋ののりこ先生を助けに行ったわ。
Why did Hashimoto keep Miss Noriko and Shirotori in different rooms?
そうね。二人一緒の方が管理しやすいのに。
Usami kept her gaze on Miss Noriko as she interjected herself.
のりこ先生の分の手錠なりロープなりがなかったからでしょ。
なるほど。橋本くんものりこ先生を人質に取る気はなかったみたいだし、良い。
I guess he was wary of a surprise attack from his unbound hostage during his negotiations with Tokita. The director suddenly became apologetically reverent toward Miss Noriko.
先生、このことは内密にお願いしたいのですが。
内密にってこんな犯罪をですか、白鳥理事長。今すぐにでも警察に連絡するべきです。
Quite the natural opinion.
犯人は警察に連絡すれば娘を殺すと言っているんです。親としてそんな真似はできません。
Whether that's the truth or he's trying to protect his school, the director was desperately trying to convince Miss Noriko.
まずは人質の命を優先しましょう。犯人は要求さえ満たせれば水葉を解放してくれます。
Miss Noriko hung her head, perplexed. Perhaps she was overpowered by Tokita's confidence.
時田さんが私を救ってくれたのだからわからないわけでもないけれど。
Miss Noriko, I think we should avoid calling the police for now. I don't know what the Soniyama men I have scattered about would say if the police showed up all of a sudden. I got an idea. The worst case scenario would be a confrontation between the two parties. We'd undoubtedly have more than a simple negotiation on our hands if that came to pass.
あなたたちは一体。
Tokita smiled.
勇者とそのご一行ですよ。
Still, Tokita. Before the money gets here, there's something I need to confirm. Are you really going to comply with the terrorists' demands and hand over the money?
どう思う？指揮官。
She smiled in challenge. I answered hesitantly. Ensuring Shiratori's safety is our number one priority. We have no choice but to comply.
同じ意見だわ。
However, we can't absolutely be certain that he'll release the hostage after he gets the money.
私の見立てでは、彼は目的さえ達成できれば約束を守るタイプだと思うけれど。
Well, I suppose killing Shiratori wouldn't do him any good.
ええ。彼が本当に殺したいのは。
She shot the director a quick glance. Yeah. As I watched Tokita and the director, I hurried my decision. What do you think, Usami? Usami was stroking her chin with the back of her hand, seemingly pondering something.
橋本さんが現金を受け取ってどうやって逃亡するつもりなのでしょうか。
Escape? You think he's going to try to make a break for it?
ええ、彼は自分にも将来があるとか言っていましたが、どうなんでしょう。
This represents a huge oversight on our part.
人質を取って校舎に立てこもったんですよ。その上500万からの現金を奪って、明日から何事もなかったかのように部活に精を出す橋本さんがいると思いますか？
春の言う通りだわ。
水葉を解放してしまえば、我々も理事長ももう彼の命令を聞く必要がありません。一度奪われた現金も何とかして取り返すでしょ。警察ではなく我々に挑戦してきたのは単に我々の方が組みしやすいと思ったからでしょう。さらに言えばユキへの復讐も兼ねているのかもしれませんが。浅井さん、もともと橋本さんは目出し帽をかぶっていましたよね。
Yeah, it completely covered his face. I didn't even realize it was Hashimoto until he spoke.
ということは橋本さんは変声機でも使い、自分の身元を隠して交渉に乗り出す予定だったのでしょう。しかし私と浅井さんがいち早く現場に駆けつけたものだからやむを得ず正体を晒したんです。
I didn't even consider this. You might be right about that.
橋本さんは自分の正体をばらさずに現金を奪うつもりだった。これならば明日から何食わぬ顔で学園に来るつもりだったとしてもおかしくはありません。
I was convinced. But now that his identity is out, he's finished. He has nothing left to do but run.
問題はこの包囲網の中でどうやって逃げるのかということです。
一番考えられるのは水葉を人質にしたまま用意させた車で逃走するというパターンね。
Usami's expression grows dark and grim for a moment.
どうもおかしいですね。勘ですがね。
I teased her with a cocked smile. Let me guess. You think your Mau is back, and he had a hand in this. Usami stared straight into me.
ええ、ビンビンに。
It's been 3 hours since this whole affair started. Despite having direct orders from one of their superiors, the Sonoyama men are on their last nerves. They can't handle the lethargy much longer, smoking the time away as they sit on the grass. I watched as a taxi driver eyed the school suspiciously for a moment, then drove away. Apparently, Hashimoto's ransom has arrived.
橋本くん、お待たせ。
Tokita immediately resumed the negotiations.
ええ、スーツケースに500万入っているわ。
スーツ そりゃまたかさばるものに入れてくれやがったな。
If he's inconvenienced by the bag being conspicuous, then he really must be planning on making a run for it.
まあいい。ならそれをこっちに持ってきてもらおうか。
分かったわ。また私が持っていけばいいのよね。
ああ、他の連中は信用ならんからな。
じゃあその時に水葉も解放してもらえる？
Hashimoto laughed deeply.
慌てるなよ、時田。
あら？どうしたの？私とあなたの仲じゃない。
そうだな。金をきっちり用意したんだから、俺もお前の役に立ちたいとは思う。しかし白鳥を解放したら、俺はどうやって逃げればいいんだ？
As I thought.
車を用意してもらおうか。ボンボンの浅井にでも頼め。できるだろう。
それは聞いてみないとわからないわ。
Car. I guess I could probably get a company car from these I Corporation offices.
いいか、車は絶対に用意しろ。ここは譲歩できん。時田もわかるだろう。お前が犯人だったらどうだ？
ええ、全く妥当ね。逃げられる算段が整っているのならね。
But as long as he's in this city, he won't be able to escape from the Soniyama group.
わかったな。まずはケースを持ってこい。車の到着を確認したら、こっちからまた連絡する。
The call ended, and Tokita shrugged her shoulders.
というわけだけれど、京介くん、
Alright, I'll prepare a car.
やけに早い決断ね。
He has no idea about the extent to which my father controls this city. Even if he manages to get away in the car, we'll nab him soon enough. It's no different than the situation with Saijo.
わかったわ。私も今からお金を届けに行くわ。
Alright. Don't do anything rash, like attack Hashimoto or something.
水葉に何かあったら、さすがにわからないわ。
Tokita smiled as she walked once more toward the darkness of the school, suitcase in hand.
いよいよ大詰めってやつか。
I'm sure we'll find out soon enough, little man. Eiichi muttered as he huddled with Miss Noriko.
なんかよ、椿の時もそうだったけど、凶悪犯罪って結構あるもんなんだな。
Yeah. I casually looked over at Usami. Things have been bizarrely chaotic recently. Ever since she moved here. "30 minutes later, Hashimoto's getaway car arrived. A few Soniyama cars were also on standby, just off campus. How are things on the inside, Tokita?
二人で仲良く差し入れのドリンクを飲んだようね。いい兆候とは言えるわ。
Did Hashimoto say anything to you?
いいえ、速やかに出ていくよう言われたわ。
Well, everything's all set now. All that remains is to wait for Hashimoto's call.
浅井さん、学園の方位は完璧でしょうか？
What do you mean?
いえ、この学園は外の塀が低いので、校舎から出られると、あとはどうとでも逃げられるのではないかと。
We're covering the first floor windows, the main entrance, the staff entrance. Any possible exit to the building has been practically sealed. Isn't that good enough?
ならいいんですがね。皆さんもお疲れのようですし、ちょっと不安になりました。
And what about you? You must be tired too. Hashimoto's made it pretty clear that he intends to march right out, get in the car, and drive off.
あ、そうでしたね。何を言ってるんすかね、自分は。
She scratched her head in embarrassment. What about you, Tokita? How are you holding up? I mean, you of all people must be tired as hell.
嬉しいわね。じゃあ肩でも揉んでちょうだい。
You got enough energy to crack jokes, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Who said she was joking? Still, she's a little quiet. She must be worn out from the long negotiations. She'll be able to rest soon though. The upcoming chase scene will be left to my expertise.
京介君って特定の女の子いるの？
What's this about? Tokita laughs.
これもストックホルミングかしらね。長い間チームを組んでたものだからあなたと妙な連帯感を覚えているの。
Now's not the time for flirting. I know what you mean, but I'll pass.
そう残念ね。
That kind of joke is unlike Tokita.
浅井さんには自分がいますもんね。
Damn straight. Kill yourself. You first.
あらあらあうんの呼吸とはこのことね。
Tokita smirked with her arms crossed.
それにしても連絡がないですね。
Yeah. You should be able to see the car from up there. Heck, you should even be able to hear it.
もう少し待ってみましょう。何かあったのかも。
If we get antsy and jump the gun, it might tick him off.
でも待つにしても限度があるでしょ。
Alright, we'll wait 10 more minutes. Yet 10 minutes later, there had still been no contact from Hashimoto.
つながらないわ。
Maybe they're really having a good time and having drinks together. Who knows? I'm joking, of course. Obviously, something's going seriously wrong here. Tokita tried calling twice, but in vain.
どうします？
See? Seriously wrong. What should we do? Oh, wait. Never mind. You said that. This is upsetting. What happened? Tokita, what's your take on the situation?
正直予測がつかないわ。
Did he suddenly change his mind? I seriously doubt that.
それはないと断言したいわね。これまでの交渉過程で私は私の持てる力を全て出し切ったわ。
Then why isn't he calling us? We met each and every one of his demands. Tokita pierced me with her stern eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no way you'd know that. But the question remains, what do we do now?
様子を見に行くしかないでしょうね。
Yeah, I think that's the best option. Which one of us will go, though?
俺が行こうか。
How brave of you to volunteer. An unlikely volunteer raised his unexpected hand.
なんつうか、さすがに俺も一発くらい橋本をぶん殴ってやらねえと気が済まねえっつうか。
I would pay actual money to see you try. No one's going to knock him a good one, Eiichi. Shiratori's life is on the line here.
でもさ。
Then Tokita stepped in.
いいわ。私と栄一君で行きましょう。
ユキが？
I guess it would be justified to send someone who's on good terms with Hashimoto, seeing as how you'd be less likely to agitate him.
京介君はここで全体の指揮があるでしょう。
Sure.
春は京介君を補佐してあげて。今までずっとそうだったんでしょ。
まあ。
Tell me about it. I keep getting caught up in Usami's trouble for some reason.
ええ。何かあったら助けてちょうだい。
僕が守ってあげるよ。
心強いわね。
Tokita must have realized that Eiichi's presence may cause Hashimoto to drop his guard. Eiichi's reputation for idiocy will have preceded him, after all. In any case, he'll be less threatening to Hashimoto than Usami or me.
それじゃあ行くわよ栄一くん。
Looking somewhat nervous, the two disappeared into the school building. What happened up there?
最悪の場合、水葉がもう殺されているかもしれません。
I thought of that too. They could have gotten into a scuffle and killed each other. It'd certainly explain his missing phone call, at least.
ユキはそれを覚悟の上で校舎に入っていったんでしょうね。
She's brave, a friend of yours.
かっこいいんですよ。本当にかっこよすぎるくらいです。
And immediately after Usami finished her sentence, the phone rang with a clamor. Of course, it wasn't Tokita's phone. It was mine. What's going on? What's wrong, Tokita?
信じられないわ。
Tokita's typically calm voice was shaking. What happened?
落ち着いて聞いて。
All right.
いないのよ。
What? Tokita steadied her breathing, settled herself, and said,
水葉も橋本くんもいない。
It's not pos. Then Tokita yelled.
あるのよ。二人とも忽然と消えてしまったのよ。
Well, this is definitely a bit unexpected. After hearing Tokita's report, Usami and I head straight for the lab storage room.
落ち着きましょう、浅井さん。
Okay, let's just think about this for a minute. The school's surrounded by a bunch of Yakuza thugs, so if they somehow got out of the building, they would have been seen. So I think what's going on here is they're hiding somewhere inside the school, waiting for us to come in, investigate, and while we're distracted looking for them, he's gonna slip out, hostage in hand, probably make an attempt on the director's life, and then try to make his getaway. Maybe.
人が消えるなんてありえません。
Yeah, Tokita just panicked out of worry for her sister. We ran down the corridor and threw open the door to the lab equipment storage room. And it truly was empty.
さっきの
Don't be. Came as a shock to me as well.
橋本の野郎どこ行ったんだ。
Eiichi paces up and down the room, unable to keep his cool. I gave the room a quick search. The plastic bottle Hashimoto supposedly drank from and a single paper cup lay on top of the desk. The flashlight Hashimoto apparently used lay alongside them.
浅井さん、床に手錠が。
The black handcuffs that robbed Mizuha of her freedom were lying plain as day across the linoleum floor.
手錠を外したということは
Tokita bit her lip in regret. Did her despair get the best of her? She couldn't bring herself to say those next few words. Mean what, Tokita?
時間稼ぎだったのよ。
Tokita seemed to reinforce her failing spirit.
車を用意させてさも正面から逃げるように油断させておいてこっそりどこかから逃げたんじゃ。
It's ridiculous. He's still in the building. I shouted. The Soniyama men outside heeded my call. I need to have them perform a thorough search of the school. The exits were completely sealed. There's no way he could have made it beyond these walls.
本当か？どこか穴があったんじゃないか？
An escape route.
例えば 秘密の出入り口とかよ。
This isn't the time for Joe. A chill suddenly dashed up my spine. There actually is a hidden exit in this place. Wait. My face must be twisted beyond belief right now. Now that I think about it, wasn't the school being expanded? Of course. That was the spark that kindled this whole fiasco. Are the renovations done yet?
いや、でもほとんど終わってるって。
What have they been working on?
まだ立ち入り禁止だからよく知らないけど、1階に新しく通路ができてるとこは。
That hallway has windows, doesn't it? Eiichi nodded. Damn it! I'm so sorry. This was entirely my fault.
知らなくて当然です。
そうね。学園の関係者か。水葉なら、あるいは知っていたかもしれないけど。
Hashimoto must have asked Shirotori about the secret exit. Well, all we can do is give chase now. I reached for the door. Leave the rest to me. Go home, everyone. He got away on foot sometime around 30 minutes ago. If we come through the area closely, we should be able to catch him.
あ、俺も行く。
I left Eiichi behind as his fleet footsteps echo through the dark corridor. Well, you definitely played us. Big time. Bearing an anguished expression, Tokita Yuki searched the darkness just beyond the window of the lab's equipment storage room.
やられたわ、春。
She sighs to the girl behind her. Haru responds with a sigh of her own.
残念な結果になったね。
私がまずかったのよ。
水葉の手錠が外されていたこと？
そうよ。それが何を意味するかわかる？
Haru's intellect shined through in her immediate response.
水葉が橋本さんに協力したということになる。そうでなければ手錠をかけた人質を連れて逃げるわけがない。
足手まといになるものね。
Well,
どうしてそんなことに？
not surprised, given that.
ストックホルム症候群よ。
なるほど。
ストックホルミングはプラスの面が多いから、普通はネゴシエーターもそれを助長させるように働きかけるの。
でも今回は違った。
Basically, what happened was the hostage ended up getting close to the kidnapper. Grew sympathetic, and well, now we got this situation.
言い訳をするようだけれど、普通はこんな短時間でストックホルム症候群なんて発生しないわ。過去の事例を見ても、100時間とか半年とか、そういった長い時間をかけられるのが通例なの。
So does that suggest then that Mizuha was cooperating with this guy from the very beginning?
通例は通例だったと？
水葉も父親の理事長を快く思っていなかったわ。つまり同じ事情を抱える橋本君に同調しやすいと言える。
The girl standing behind her had no consolation for Yuki.
人の心にマニュアルなんて当てはまらないってことね。まだまだ訓練が必要だわ。
The very next instant, Haru's voice pierces her back.
いや、ここまでは全て計算づくだったはずだ。
Yuki's body freezes.
そうだろう、ユキ。
That's right, Haru. Yuki mocks somewhere within herself. That mockery quickly showed itself on her visage. If only you weren't here. The hell? I hear my lovely child is having a bit of fun tonight. I wonder how that's going. Wait a fucking minute. Are you telling me this child is freaking Tokita? Well, while I found her plan to be quite the humorous parlor trick, I seriously doubt it will work on Asami. Holy fucking shit. I've really been had here. Accomplices can really foul things up. Should I have given her that advice? It shouldn't matter. Children grow whether or not their parents are there to help them along.
どうしたの、ハル。
Yuki directed a faint smile at the girl behind her.
まるで私が真犯人みたいな言い方じゃない？
事実、真犯人だ。最初から全てユキが仕組んでいたことだ。
どうしたの、ハル。私たちは親友でしょ。
Yuki put on innocent airs, but her heart knew better. No slay could blind Haru to her best friend's strange behavior.
ハル、落ち着いてよ。橋本くんは水葉を連れて拡張工事のあった廊下の窓から逃げたんじゃないの？
違う。
じゃあどうやってこの部屋から消えたっていうの？
普通に1階のどこからでも逃げられたと思う。
それはおかしいでしょう。京介くんのお仲間さんたちが学園を取り囲んでいたのよ。
だから取り囲む前に逃げたんだ。
Yuki all but resigned. Nevertheless, she wanted to amuse herself with the conversation.
橋本さんは職員室に忍び込み、典子先生を襲った。そこに駆けつけた我々を校舎の外に出すと、典子先生を理科準備室の隣の薬品室に閉じ込めた。
私が学園に到着する前の出来事ね。
その後橋本さんは理科準備室に立てこもるわけでもなく、さっさと逃げてしまう。
ちょっと待ってよ。橋本くんはここにいなかったっていうの？
そうだ。さも私たちを見下ろしながら交渉をしているように見せかけて、実際は別の場所で電話を受けていた。
別の場所ね。
Yuki shrugged in false surprise.
じゃあこの部屋で懐中電灯がちらついていたのはどういうこと？
懐中電灯は橋本さんが学園を出る前にこの部屋に残していったんだ。
でもあなたも見たわよね。ライトが明滅してたじゃない？
Wait.
懐中電灯が勝手についたり消えたりするの？
Wait, hold on a goddamn minute. If you're actually the mastermind behind this, you put Mizuha, you willingly put Mizuha in danger. And that's the case. If you're actually fine with putting your own sister in danger, then what the hell was that bad ending that I saw in the last episode all about? Okay, so I'll have to think about this later. I feel like I'm missing something here.
いろいろ方法はあると思うが、最も簡単なのはあらかじめ残量の極端に少ない電池を入れておくことだ。そうすれば懐中電灯はついたり消えたりを繰り返してやがて消える。
Correct.
はじめはこの部屋のカーテンが閉まっていなかったから不自然だとは思ったんだ。
カーテンね。
普通立てこもりをするならカーテンは閉めるだろう。外から室内の様子を探られるかもしれないし。
そうね。ちょっと不自然ね。でもそれだけで疑われるものなのかしら？
Haru continued in a deep voice.
ユキが到着してカーテンの閉まっていない窓に向かって手を振っただろう。
ええ。反応が鈍かったわね。
鈍いはずだ。窓の向こうに橋本さんはいないんだもの。おそらく あらかじめ決まった時間に電話をよこすよう指示していたんだろう。
That was a failure on Yuki's part. If only Haru hadn't suggested she wave at the window.
どうしても私と橋本くんが共犯ってことにしたいみたいだけれど。
残念だけど。
のりこ先生はどうなの？あなたは記録係だからちゃんと覚えているでしょ？
うん。隣の部屋から橋本くんの怒鳴り声がしたと解放された先生は証言した。
じゃあそれはどう説明するの？
Haru didn't falter.
かけてもいい。今ユキのポケットに小型の IC レコーダーかとにかく録音した声を発することのできる機器がある。
Yuki found this amusing. Haru called it spot on. She did indeed have an IC recorder with Hashimoto's voice samples saved on it. He had left it here before taking his leave.
でもそんな録音した声くらいで隣に人がいるって先生に錯覚させられるかしら？
だから解放された先生にユキはあまり質問をしなかった。
Goodness gracious, Haru is so incredibly fun. She thrust everything that Yuki had recognized as suspicious into her face.
あれはおかしかった。中の様子を知る唯一の人物をなぜ聞き上手のユキが放っておいたのか。
たまたまよ。疲れていたのかも。
録音した声は一言二言なんだろう。それなら恐怖に震える先生を騙すこともできそうだ。
Yuki felt like throwing in the towel.
わかったわ。それで身体検査を始めようっていうの？
別にやらなくてもまだ証拠はある。
ぜひ聞きたいわ。
この紙コップだ。
差し入れた紙コップ？それがどうしたの？
ペットボトルの中身はなくなっていて紙コップも少しふやけている。
橋本くんがドリンクを紙コップに注いで水葉が飲んだってことにならない？
でも口をつけた跡がない。
Very good, Haru.
ドリンクはすべて流しに捨てたんだろ？
That's why Yuki chose the lab equipment storage room.
これはユキと橋本さんが共犯でなければ成り立たない手口だ。そうでなければドリンクを差し入れしたりケースを届けに行ったユキが中の様子を偽る意味もわからない。
Yuki decided it was time to surrender.
さすがね、
Haru's gaze assaulted Yuki's senses.
認めるんだな。
やっぱりあなたを記録係にしたのが間違いだった。
だからチームでやろうって言った時渋っていたんだな。
Yuki nodded to the girl behind her. That moment saw her defeat decided.
お約束だから聞くけど最初に怪しいと思ったのは？
ユキ！
教えてよ。怖い声出さないで。
Haru answered, heavy with sadness.
バスケットボールの話をしていた時
やっぱりね。
橋本さんがこう言ったんだ。ほらあのアイスアリーナを見ろよって。
あの時は背筋が凍ったわ。
そこの窓からアイスアリーナなんて見えないはずなんだ。
Did he actually say that during the phone conversation? Because if he did, then that was a huge freaking oversight on my part. Yuki had been standing near that window in order to stymie Haru from that realization, but it had been in vain. At first glance, it may seem like Hashimoto was Yuki's downfall. However, Yuki held some responsibility in this failure as well. He was originally a simple young man, someone whose extremes merely amounted to chalk on blackboards. Petty was perhaps the most fitting word. To make such a person out to be a calm, motivated hostage taker with a goal was quite difficult. When he showed his true colors by asking about her sex life, she felt the pressing desire to hit him.
今水葉は アイスアリーナの見える場所にいるんだな。
そう、橋本くんと一緒にね。あらかじめ私が睡眠薬を飲ませて運んだのよ。
なんてことを。
だってあれだけくだらない父親にまだ義理立てしてるのよ。信じられる？どこまで人がいいのかしら。
本当は水葉も犯行に誘う予定だったんだな。
残念なことに交渉決裂よ。ある有名なネゴシエーターも家族だけは説得できないって言ってたわね。
Is this really the same damn Yuki from Mashir Tori's route? I mean, yeah. Yuki, right. Tokira. After declaring so, Yuki turned around and turned Haru's sharpened glare.
ユキ、お金はまだこの部屋にあるんだろ？
それを返したら全部許してもらえるのかしら。
Haru let silence speak for her. Her pained expression wounded Yuki's heart. Nevertheless, Yuki calmly continued.
許さないわよね。あなたは正義の勇者様だもの。
Haru shook her head.
動機はやっぱり理事長への復讐か？
大したことじゃないでしょ。不正に受け取ったお金なのよ。
不正に受け取ったお金を不正に泥棒していいのか？
警察もついに理事長を逮捕できなかったのよ。
私はそれがユキでないことを願っていた。
甘いわね、ハル。善人はバカを見る時代なのよ。
私は時代に生きているわけじゃない。私はあくまで私の考えに基づいて生きている。
The words of Mau from the mouth of the hero. Such is to be expected.
そこをどいてよ、ハル。
Yuki jerked her chin to sign Haru away from the door.
どこへ逃げようというんだ？
そうね。京介君を敵に回したらこの町では暮らせそうにないわね。
ユキ、聞いてよ。
Haru says she placed herself in Yuki's path, arms wide.
聡明なユキのことだからやむを得ない事情があったのだと思う。でもユキは間違ってる。
ありがとう、ハル。いろんな人に迷惑をかけたことは心苦しく思っているわ。特にのりこ先生には本当に悪いことをした。
だったら
Yuki interrupted Haru's protest.
もう遅いわ。私はとっくに悪魔に魂を売ったのだから。
Haru's eyes gorged in despair. In that same instant, Yuki shoved her with both hands. Haru shrieks. She staggers. She loses her balance. Her feet slip, and her hair glides through the air. Leaving Haru where she lay on the floor, Yuki dashes out into the corridor, immediately swerving around to close the door of the lab equipment storage room. She jams the key into the lock and twists it violently. It's all or nothing.
ユキ、
The door creaks. Haru beats at the door, shouting, cursing her own powerlessness. Luckily, the key had broken off in the lock, jamming it.
逃げるな。今ならまだやり直せる。
Yuki flashes the everyday smile of her past just self.
交渉においてどうなったら負けよ。
That's right. Yuki was now past the point of no return. Without so much as a backwards glance, Yuki dashed into the deepest darkness of the school corridor. Haru's grieving voice would forever linger in her ears. After receiving a call from Usami, I head for the lab's storage room one more time.
どうもご迷惑をおかけしまして。
Usami briefed me on the situation. Tokiya had apparently masterminded this operation and has now escaped somewhere. Though betrayed by her best friend, Usami managed to stay composed.
ユキを追いましょう。
Yeah.
あの状況で逃げるということは、ユキにはまだやり残したことがあるということです。
Usami's face tenses again.
水葉も心配です。
It's already 2 a.m. The director has gone home for now to rethink the situation, and Eiichi ended up deciding to escort Miss Noriko home. That leaves no one but Usami and I, and a handful of bored Yakuza. Alright, let's pull all the stops and track down Tokita. A tall, beautiful girl walking around in a uniform at this hour shouldn't be too hard for the Soniyama guys.
すみませんね、いつも。
You should be. If I keep on using men for matters that are none of the Soniyama group's business, they'll have me cutting my fingers off an apology before too long. Usami laughed feebly.
関係なくもないと思うんですよ。
Pardon?
この上なやり口、人をもてあそぶような犯罪、誰かの入れ知恵とは思いませんか？
Oh, please. Not Mau again.
私の考えすぎですかね。そうですよね。ユキが魔王とつながってただなんて、そんなはずないですよね。
I couldn't say anything.
ユキのお父さんは時田明宏さんと言いまして、そりゃ立派な方なんですよ。警察の警視正っていうものすごく偉い人なんですよ。だからユキもそんなお父さんの恩をあだで返すような真似はしないはずなんです。そうです。
You'd be surprised how many officers of the law have delinquents for children.
そりゃ白鳥理事長には恨みもあるでしょう。でも脅迫して復讐するなんておかしいじゃないですか。ユキは時田警視正の下で立派に育ったんです。今のお父さんでよかったと自慢げに言っていたこともあります。
Sami seemed unable to hold back her frantic emotions. Guess it just goes to show that sometimes we really don't know people when we think we do.
こんなネクラなことしなくてもいいじゃないですか。なんでまたこんな。ユキならもっと考えて、そう、もっとうまく理事長を見返してやれるはずなんです。
Her voice gradually fell out as she trembled, and her hands began to shake.
おかしいですよ。あれはユキじゃない。
Usami is looking for a source of evil. She simply can't accept the fact that the Tokita she knew could undergo such a metamorphosis without some dark catalyst. Then again, the belief in evil is sometimes one's only hope of salvation. Usami. Was it on a whim that I rested my hands on Usami's shoulders? She didn't shake me off. Instead, she silently accepted my kindness. Though she's usually so annoying, so downright disgusting, the Usami I lent my support to seemed small enough to fit in my hand. After a brief intermission, time continued its course. The night wore on as the frigid, unforgiving wind beat endlessly against the window. Stealing through the streets and alleys behind the neon lights, Tokita brainstormed for a new countermeasure. If everything had gone according to plan, she'd be heading for the cheap apartment where Hashimoto and Mizuha awaited her, a large amount of money in hand. Yet will her bad luck ever cease? She's near the apartment, but Hashimoto isn't answering her calls. Was there some accident? In any case, entering the apartment would have been dangerous. Yuki slipped into the darkness, sidling up against the walls of nearby buildings. Her school uniform was simply too conspicuous. Should I really rely on Mao? Now that Yuki understood how easy it was to incite the wrath of one of this city's most powerful organizations, she began to realize the true extent of the meticulous nature she had once sensed in Mao. The man had been able to avoid the omnipresent threat of the Sonoyama group for months now, despite moving freely about the city. Surely that means Mao would be able to guarantee her safety. Only, I'm not the Mau's henchman. Mao had merely advised her a bit concerning this plan. He had also supplied the drugs to ensure Mizuha slept through her transportation to the apartment. Now that she objectively evaluates the situation, she may indeed have been possessed by the devil. It all began 2 years ago, with a single email. The sender identified himself as Mao. He had quite thoroughly investigated Yuki for being no more than a common stalker. He knew that she was an illegitimate child, and that her mother had passed away. Mao, who had put forth an investigation into her past that would spark envy in even the best private detective, had begun to entice Yuki. After a few electronic exchanges, Yuki left her hometown alone for Tomonbetsu City, running to meet this most intriguing Mao. The club was deep in the depths of Central Boulevard. After introducing herself at the entrance, she was ushered into a VIP room. It bore the look of a high roller's lounge in an upscale casino. No light poured from the ceiling. Her only option in a dim room was to rely on the indirect light at her feet. Nevertheless, the most defining point was the mask on each and every one of the employees' and guests' faces. Among them were narrow eye masks, the kind you would expect to be worn by sexual deviants, often accompanied by decadent, ornate satin hoods. Some of the group even sported a pair of red horns, along with the likeness of other such horrors only imaginable in medieval European paintings.
はじめまして、時田由紀。私が魔王だ。わざわざ田舎から飛行機で来てもらってすまなかったな。
This Mao was no exception. He wore a white masquerade mask reminiscent of the Phantom of the Opera. Yuki tried to ignore the oddity and bowed in greeting.
お招きありがとう。随分と素敵な場所ね。
気に入ってもらえたかな。ここではどんな地位の人間も子供になって遊ぶことができる。
The coquettish voices of both women and men echoed from the dark corners of the room. They were accompanied by the sounds of alcohol sliding down throats, of shouts demanding service from nearby women. The guests endlessly entertained themselves with such vulgar acts.
それで、私に何の用？つまらない用事だったら警察に駆け込ませてもらうけれど。
A deep laugh split from behind the mask.
あちらにいらっしゃる御仁がわかるか。
Mao gestured with his chin, and Yuki's eyes followed. A plump, middle-aged man sat there, slumped on a sofa, wearing nothing but an oversized diaper on the lower half of his body. Standing beside him was a woman in an apron shaking a toy at him, as if soothing her upset infant. The scene's inhuman, bizarre nature caused Yuki to reflexively avert her eyes.
あちらは警視庁の去る天井人だ。夜は素敵なプレイに興じられているようだが、朝になれば正義の警察官として私のような犯罪者を追い詰める。面白いだろ
？Yuki calmed her breath in an attempt to regain her composure. Despite her efforts, the otherworldly aura of the room negated any sense of order within her. Mahu had not even laid a finger on the mountain of money before him.
警察や暴力団への根回しなしでこんな店が日本で営業できるはずがないだろう。お父上に恥をかかせるような真似はよすんだ。
よく知っているわね。私の父が警察官だって。
まあ、だからこそお前に声をかけた。
Yuki finally regained her composure and attempted to scrutinize the Mau's gestures and tone of voice. Her possible routes to reading this man were limited as long as his face was hidden from her.
聞けば、時田は長年犯罪心理学を勉強しているとか？
探偵でも雇ったのかしら？
Mau nodded. Something like that.
保護観察所に演者を装って何度も通ったそうじゃないか。なかなか楽しい子供だったようだな。
ありがとう。おかげで変な目で見られたけれど、今では友達もたくさんできたわ。
With a slight smile, Yuki examined Mau. He'd recrossed his legs twice since she'd entered the room. His hands fidgeted in tune with the conversation, opening and shuttering as he makes his comments. He was an archetypical diplomatic type. That was the conclusion of Yuki's evaluation. People who fall under this category make judgments through the use of logic and reason. Yuki engraves each and every one of his fingers' subtle motions, their expressions, into her memory. He seems to be quite the careful man. Whether that care was manifested as a result of prudence or paranoia was yet to be seen.
いろんな犯罪者と会ってどう思った？
どうもこうもみんないい人ばかりだったわ。私とよく遊んでくれたもの。
彼らも寂しかったんだろう。娘ができた気持ちだったのでは？
そうね。
Yuki made sure to keep a conversation going without letting her guard slip. Mau had kept the command of the conversation from the beginning. The man before her, without saying a word about himself, had been trying to invade Yuki's heart.
ところで、あなたはどうして魔王なの？
悪の権下として分かりやすくていいだろう。そういう時だわ。なぜカタカナでユキという名前なんだ？
He's good. He smoothly evades the question and follows up with a question of his own. Judging by his mastery over conversation, he was likely a businessman of some kind.
名前の由来は私も知らないわ。お役所に届けるときにうっかりしちゃったんじゃない？
You could decide to switch strategies. It's futile to barrage the diplomatic businessman type of questions. This type likes to talk. One should build trust of these people by honestly answering the questions they pose. Only after this trust has been solidified will they begin to speak about themselves. Mau recrossed his legs again.
かわいそうだな。子供は自分の名前を選ぶことができない。実の父を恨んだことは？
それは何度も。
母の葬儀にも来なかったそうじゃないか。
ええ、 あの夜はどうやって思い知らせてやろうかと、それだけを考えていたわ。
それを今実行に移そうとは思わないか？
Yuki laughed as if she understood.
クロージングをかけるには早すぎると思わない？
Mau laughed along.
これは失礼。時田に復讐を実行させることが私の目的ではないのだが、そう聞こえたのならすまなかった。
He spread open his arms as if to embrace his own joke, and then recrossed his legs. Yuki pondered this gesture as he smiled with the Mau. She came to the realization that he recrosses his legs just before redirecting the conversation. Does this reaction mean something? Recrossing one's legs is often used as a way of relieving tension. In short, it could mean he's lying.
じゃあ本当の目的をそろそろ教えてもらえる？
時田と遊びたかった。それじゃダメか？
こんな場所で遊ぶ趣味はないわ。
わかった。本当のことを言おう。目の前に何がある？
お金ね。何億あるのかしら。
実はあることをしてもらいたいんだ。報酬は弾む。
聞くだけ聞いてみましょう。
簡単なことだ。
Mau said as he recrossed his legs.
銀行口座を一つ作ってほしい。そしていずこかから振り込まれた金を私に渡してくれ。受け渡しはこの部屋だ。
Yuki rejected the request with strength and confidence.
嘘はやめて。
Mau seemed to be at a loss for words.
銀行口座？なぜ私なの？あなたは私の家庭環境から能力まで細かく調べて、結局はそんな誰にでもできるような仕事を任せようっていうの？
何事も信頼関係というものがある。まずは小さな仕事からお願いしたいと思っても不思議はないだろう。
いいえ、あなたは嘘をついているわ。
She stared at Mawu's legs with a sharp look. One of his long, fidgety legs was about to be placed on the other. Mau nodded and said, utterly composed.
面白いな。
Mawu's hands and legs stopped moving. A question, asked almost in humor, escaped his lips.
そうやって人の心を探らねば不安か？
As he spoke, he put his fingertips together and sank deeply into the sofa. Yuki, astonished, felt a panic rise inside of her. Mau's entire persona had changed from just a moment ago. Putting one's fingertips together denotes a feeling of grandeur and dignity. The man before her was aware of this fact, and was consciously acting in that matter.
ちょこまかと手足を動かしていたのはわざとね。
どうかな？
Now that he had resorted to playing with the fringe, which jut from the side of his mask, that would typically be read as a sign of anxiety or a lack of confidence. But there was no conceivable reason for Mau to be anxious.
なんなのよ。
An irritated tone slipped from her tongue. Mau seemed to perceive that as an opening, and quickly leaned forward, close enough to violate Yuki's personal space. Just as she realized she had gotten in over her head, Mau's powerful voice pressed her.
私の仲間になれ。時田由紀。
The end of his sentence struck home.
そうすればその類まれな好奇心を満たしてやろう。
好奇心ですって？
ごまかすな時田。罪を感じているのだろう。
Even his mask seemed to smirk.
現にお前がこれまで会ってきた犯罪者は模範囚の善人ばかりではないか。
だったら何なの？
Yuki felt that she would have been overwhelmed by his force if she had not at least feigned defiance.
そうよ。私が見てきたのは、ケーキも半ばで仮出所してきた人たちがほとんど。根がいい人なのは当たり前。でもそれが何か悪いの？
The powerful feelings Yuki held leaked into her words. The pressure in that long quarantined zone of her heart squeezed them out into the open air. Of course, there was something wrong. It was a sin to treat people who had been repenting for so long, and who had been forgiven by the society they offended, as mere objects of study or curiosity. However, the torment Yuki felt because of her guilt had always been washed away by the whisperings of her inner demons. She was only a child, after all. Not to mention her complicated background, which had destroyed her ability to trust other human beings. The opening in her heart was not lost on the king of these demons, Mau.
何も悪くない。何も悪くはないが、もったいないとは思う。
もったいない？
世の中にはもっとおかしな人間がいる。欲望に歯止めの効かなくなった真の凶悪犯や、嘘を真実と信じたまま話すことができる社会病質者。目的のためなら手段を選ばぬテロリスト。
Yuki's heart began to race against her will.
時田はいずれ父に倣って警察官を志すのだろう。ネゴシエーターの必要性は近年になって日本でもようやく認められてきた。お前はその卵だ。今から実地訓練をしておいて損はなかろう。
つまり何なの？
The more Yuki spoke, the less she was able to contain herself.
あなたのお仲間になれば、今まで私が見たこともないような変人を紹介してくれるっていうの？
The mask nodded deeply.
いくらでも。
そんな嘘でしょ？
嘘かどうか確かめたくはないか？
Yuki hesitated once more. As she sat speechless, Mau said,
これからここである外国人と会うことになっているのだが、一緒にどうだ？
外国人？
ああ、鼻毛を切らない習慣があるが気のいい男だ。
でも犯罪者なのでしょ？
ただの商人さ。
あなたは犯罪者って名乗ったわよね。犯罪の密談を警察官の娘が黙って見過ごすと思う？
そう構えるな。酒を酌み交わすだけだ。そしてこの金の一部を渡す。
皇帝でも買ったの？
余裕が出てきたな。乗り気になってきたと思っていいのかな？
Mau sank into the sofa again. Yuki's heart began to sound the alarm. Her curiosity became unmanageable and began to claw at the walls of its quarantine.
お前は何も知らなくていい。
Mau kindly said.
私が何者でどんな商売をしていて何を企んでいるのか、犯罪につながるようなことを一切知らずにただ貴重な体験ができる。
However, associating with Mau would nonetheless be approving of crime. That is a line she must not cross.
どうかな。悪い話ではないと思うが。
Yuki was perplexed. Or rather, she was feigning perplexion.
訪問販売なんかでは玄関のドアを開けさせたらもう勝ったも同然らしいわね。
押し売りをする気はないがな。
Her fate may have been decided as soon as she met Mau. From the very onset, she had been successfully coerced into deceiving her father by coming here without telling him. She hadn't actually lied, but she had certainly been less than forthcoming. It's no wonder that she'll continue to do so.
それで魔王？
She couldn't go on without asking the most critical question.
親切に私の好奇心を満たしてくれるのはいいけれど、見返りに何を求めてるの？私の父に関わるようなことだったら。
She mustn't cause her father trouble. This Mawu was a criminal. As such, he may desire to blackmail or somehow manipulate her father, a powerful figure in the police system. Yuki steeled her courage as she gazed into the evil mask's eyes. And Mawu, from the other side of the mask, responded in the slow manner of a parent speaking to an infant.
特に見返りを求めているわけではないが、強いて言えば。
Mawu put his hands onto the mask.
魂かな?
His tone held no hint of cajolery. Now there's a new word I've never heard before. The contract was signed. Now that he has shown his true face, there would be no escape from this Mawu. After that day, about once a month, Yuki would secretly meet with Mawu. He typically introduced her to his acquaintances in Toenbetsu City, but oddly enough, his meetings also often took her to the coast of the Sea of Japan, Fukui, and a small village in Niigata. Yuki was able to meet a great many people during these rendezvous. Chechens who ruled the Moscow black market, extremist Muslim jihadists. Mawu often received briefcases from fishermen at the wharf, but he never explained what they held. Yuki never intended to ask. Most of the Japanese people she met were youngsters. They were each of the child of a politician, or of the owner of a large corporation, or of some other powerful person. And they were each children who, for some reason or another, had become unable to live their lives without running away from something. Each and every one of them carried a sickness in their heart. To Yuki, these meetings were exceptional in a way. Speaking to a criminally minded child outside the bounds of a youth detention center is a rare opportunity. Yuki had the opportunity to meet an abundance of strange, abnormal people. She pitied them, sympathized with them, empathized with them, and grew from her experiences. It didn't take long until she herself lost the ability to control her desire. The desire to sate her endless curiosity. However, the Mawu she had met with so many times now remained a complete mystery. His vast wealth and unquestionable connections reflected the title Mawu perfectly, but Yuki had never once seen the man commit a crime. That said, she still wasn't about to let her guard down around him.
まさか春が追っていた人間こそが魔王だったなんて。
Even at the school they attended together in her homeroom, Yuki knew that Haru was searching for someone with some objective in mind. But no matter how close they grew, Haru would never tell Yuki about the Mawu. She had only found out a few days ago, when she interrogated a man who seemed to be one of Mawu's pawns. Saijo. Yuki knew Mawu's contact details, though he'll likely had many more, and had met with him in person several times. Should she tell Haru about these things? Yuki hesitated on this for a time. As she hesitated, Mawu planted the seeds of the plan for that night's hostage situation. In the beginning, Yuki had no intentions of harming others in her quest for vengeance against the director. She hadn't intended on revealing Hashimoto's identity or dragging Miss Noriko into the fray. Her original plan was to persuade Mizuha to join her, fake a hostage crisis, and make the director squirm a little. Why did it have to turn out like this? The answer lied in Yuki's own weakness. She didn't have the courage to tell her father, a police officer, that she was involved with a man who had triggered the car bombing in the Southern District. She didn't have the courage to tell Haru either, for fear of being hated. Besides, her weakness was responsible for her desire for vengeance in the first place. What would Yuki gain by threatening and stealing from a director?
気が済むではないか。
Mau said these words. Is it really alright to just bottle up your feelings? He spurred her on.
理事長という最も制裁を受けるべき相手を放置したまま優秀な警察官になれるとでも？
Of course, she had said her words to the director. She had scolded him as she could for abandoning her mother, when having the audacity to simply skip her funeral. But the director merely gave her an empty apology.
なぜ理事長が反省しないのか。それは時田に力がないからだ。
The power Mau spoke of is one molded around a skeleton of violence.
あまりこういう大きな例えは好きではないが、この世界を見てみろ。軍事力の最も大きい国が最も大きな発言力を持っている。力のない人間がどれだけ素晴らしいことを言ったところで、一部の美談好きの人間しか耳を貸さない。結局は凶弾に倒れたり、多数派の迫害を受けることになる。
Every great negotiator needs a great assault team behind him.
私は子供が大好きでな。時田のような優秀な子供が話せばわかる時代を作り上げてくれると信じているが、今はまだ早すぎる。まだまだ数と金と握り拳がものを言う。
Yuki submitted to the devil's temptation. Then again, who could be subjected to 2 years of the Mau and come out uncorrupted? Mau was always composed and captivating, but most of all, he possessed the power to capture the hearts of the young. And as a result, Yuki betrayed Haru, hurt Mizuha, and is now being chased by the Yakuza. You reap what you sow. A shadow stepped into the darkness. Well, hello there.
あら、水葉。
Mizuha stood there, astonished.
話は全部橋本くんから聞いたわ。へえ。
He seemed brutish enough to get the job done, but he must be soft on women.
私を縛ってたロープ緩んでたから隙をついて彼のナイフを奪ったの。すごいわね。そんな度胸があるなんて知らなかったわ。その勇気の一部でも京介くんに向けられたらよかったのにね。姉さん本当なの？何が？本当に姉さんが学園で事件を起こしたの？私の父を脅迫したの？本当よ。
Yuki answered point blank.
そうしないと気が済まなかったの。それで気は済んだ。
Yuki shook her head ambiguously.
何？その手。困ってるんでしょ？助けてくれるっていうの？うん。
Yuki smiled faintly as she looked into Mizuha's eyes. They weren't the eyes of a liar.
自首する気はないんでしょ？
Of course not. If she had even considered it, she wouldn't have shoved Haru to the ground and run away. In fact, the biggest reason for not wanting to get the police involved from the very start was because she didn't want her father to learn of this.
まだやり残したことがあるからね。
The black flames in Yuki's heart ignited once again. She had left a suitcase with the money in the lab equipment storage room. Thus, even after all that effort and labor, Yuki had gained nothing. I need to show him once more.
まだ続けるのね。
Mizuha's voice betrayed her attempts to hide her sadness from Yuki.
水葉、どうして私が今まであなたに会いに来なかったかわかる？
Of course she doesn't. There's no way she could. The only person who could understand her mother's sadness and suffering was Yuki.
なぜ私の方からあなたたちに会いに行かなければならないの？頭を下げるのはあなた方でしょ？まあ分かってるわ。水葉は悪くないもの。それでも水葉に会いに行くことは母さんを裏切るようで気が引けたの。
私も姉さんに会いたかった。でもどこに住んでるのか知らなくて。
分かってるわよ。分かってる。そうね。水葉は何も悪くないわ。
Mizuha had merely been brought up in a naive ignorance and harmony, unlike Yuki.
さあ、おしゃべりはここまでにしましょう。
As Yuki turned to walk once more into the darkness, Mizuha called to her, her hands still outstretched.
姉さんは
まさか。
Yuki said, as she donned her usual gentle smile.
あなたは大事な妹よ。
The negotiator lied. Feel pretty bad for Mizuha right now. Supposedly, Tokita was spotted around here. Time continued to march on deeper into the night as Usami and I continued our search along Central Boulevard.
先ほどちらりと聞こえましたが、ユキの他にもう一人いたとか。
Yeah, probably Hashimoto.
ということは、水葉は解放されたんでしょうか？
No, wait. They said it was a girl.
つまり
Meaning it was probably Shiratori, I guess. They must have run off together. Usami sighed.
おそらくユキはもう一度理事長を脅迫する気でしょう。
It's quite possible. She never did manage to get the money earlier.
自分は理事長のお宅にお伺いするとします。
Alright. I'll keep looking for Tokita. We parted ways. Panting, Yuki and Mizuha fled through the black darkness of the wharf.
まったく、京介君は怖いわね。
After that, the pursuers showed up. One of them called out to Yuki. He even managed to grab her arm before she shook him away and took off. She took 2 different taxis in an attempt to shake them, but was to no avail. Taxis stopped at red lights, but Yakuza don't follow the rules of the road. They follow their target to the ends of the earth.
姉さんどうするの？
A nearly inhuman cacophony of angry snarls rushed in from the distance. It was only a matter of time before they were found.
私に考えがあるわ。だからここまで逃げてきたの。
Yuki pulled Mizuha by the hand and headed for a nearby warehouse. The heavy steel door was locked. However, Yuki had met with Mau once inside this warehouse. The entrance had a keypad, and Yuki had memorized the password Mau inputted. The warehouse's interior was dark and musty. Yuki pulled shut and locked the door before turning to face Mizuha.
こんなところで何をしようっていうの？
Mizuha's doubt was natural. Even in the face of Mizuha's anxiety, though, Yuki untied a rope that bound a stack of crates.
協力してくれるんでしょ、水葉。
Mizuha's eyes gorged in fear.
これは芝居よ、水葉。
Yuki pulled her dumbfounded sister toward her and tied Mizuha's arms behind her back. Mizuha's resistance to being bound amounted to no more than a quiet moan.
いい顔ね。そのままでいて。写真を撮るから。
Yuki pointed her cell phone's camera at her tied-up sister and pressed the button.
姉さん、説明して。
Yuki almost wanted to say, think for yourself. Shouldn't Mizuha know exactly what's about to go down by now?
あなたを人質に、理事長に死んでもらうの。
Yuki flatly declared her intention to kill Mizuha's own father.
私には覚悟が足りなかったのよ。たった500万くらいで許してあげようだなんて甘かった。だから春に見破られたんだわ。
The ecstasy and the madness in Yuki's face reflected in her sister's eyes.
姉さん、本気？
あなたの父親が私と母さんを家から追い出した時、なんて言ったか知ってる？知らないわよね。
Go die in the cold. Yuki remembered it clearly. In the cold, under the falling snow, they had been thrown out with no more than the clothes on their backs. Mizuha may be trembling in fear now, but her pain is nothing compared to the freezing air and the uncertainty of that day.
やめよう、姉さん。そんなことしたら、姉さんだって。
少しは私の役に立ってよ、水葉。
Yuki's stifled voice held plenty enough force to silence Mizuha.
姉妹でしょ？
They weren't very similar sisters. Their outward appearances were barely alike, but their personalities were completely opposite. Mizuha's voice was puffy and round, proof of her comfortable upbringing. She had a mushy way of putting her foot in her mouth every time she talked to the boy she liked. Her commonness finally grinded on Yuki's nerves. She gazed at Mizuha's neck. Her younger sister had kept Yuki's ancient memento dearly these long years.
私、寒かったのよ。そのマフラーすら返してほしいって思うくらいに。
Mizuha was speechless. When she realized that her father's eyes bore no hesitation, sister's eyes, I don't know where I got father out of that, there was nothing more to say.
さて、
Yuki transmitted the photograph she had just taken. Let the second round begin, Haru. Well, damn. I won't lie. This really has been quite the turn of events, I gotta say. Did not see any of this coming at all. I think I'm going to go ahead and end things here, and we can continue this developing tragedy in the next episode. I am worried. The more I think about it, the less likely it seems to me that Takeda's going to get anything resembling a happy ending, no matter what happens. Best case scenario, She gets the crap beaten out of her by Yakuza, maybe. But she definitely gets locked up. Her father finds out about her connections to Maul and what she's done here tonight. And basically her future is all but ruined. Worst case scenario, that all ends up happening anyway, and something happens and she ends up dying throughout the whole scuffle, and well, it just breaks everybody's hearts even further. Haru and Shiratori especially. I just do not see things ending well here at all. So many questions of just how badly things are going to get before it all ends. Like I said, I guess we'll find out just how bad things are going to get soon enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of The Devil on G-String. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.